Hey guys, welcome to Straightforward Farming. Today is Monday, September the 14th, I believe. So harvest is upon the doorstep. Got some neighbors that are picking. Sounds like things are still running mid to upper 20s on moisture. We generally start around 25 or less. I mean, rather start closer to 23 if we could. And especially with this year kind of being the way it is, we're probably going to let things stand in the field a little bit longer. So I don't think we'll do anything this week. Now, getting into next week, there's a chance we might be able to do something. So today I'm just putting the finishing touches on this grain truck. I had to grease the bed, check the tire pressures, that kind of stuff. I'm going to get the combine up here. I think it's still setting on all the bean settings, so I'm going to get it all switched over to corn, get the corn head hooked up, and everything ready to go on it, and be ready to rock and roll. So let's get started here. So there isn't going to be a whole lot to do to the combine. I've already went over it, changed the oil, all that good stuff. So today I just need to flip the snouts down on the corn head, just kind of give everything a good once over again. Like I say, I think everything's still set up on soybeans from last fall, so get it switched over to corn, and this dude will be ready to rock and roll. Okay, so this combine is currently set up to cut soybeans. So I'm going to switch it over to corn now, and I'll show you what all that entails. There's really not much to it. It doesn't take long at all, especially when you go back to when I was a kid. So you can do the whole thing in 5 minutes or less. First thing, down here on your feeder house drum, this will set your drum height that your feeder house drive chain runs on. So down in there, you want to pull that little ring out and twist it so it won't catch. And let me get my ratchet set here. Okay, get him started spinning up a little bit. Once it gets to about there, this is kind of a bastard to do with one hand. Then you flip that ring, it'll catch in a hole up there. Just like that. Yep, good to go there. Okay, so there'll be one on this side and one on the other side of the feeder house, but I always make a circle. I start here, go down one side of the machine, across the back, and end up on the other side. That's how I do it, just so I don't forget nothing. All right, next will be your rotor speed. That'll be this handle up here. That changes your rotor from first gear to second gear. It's in second gear right now since we cut beans last, so I gotta take that handle and I gotta push it in. It can be kind of a bastard. Sometimes you gotta grab that big shiv up there and roll it and rock it to get it to catch. Okay, she's in first gear. Okay, next we'll do what we call the stationary knives. These are under the chopper. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So there's big knives that slide up in the chopper there. So when you're cutting beans, it'll cut that bean plumage. It'll cut it up real fine, just depending on how far in or out you slide these knives. So on this, on corn, you want them all the way out. So you loosen that, push that handle up. See them knives? See if I pull this handle, that slides them in, that'll chop up the plumage real fine, or you slide them out and it won't chop it at all. So on corn, you don't want to chop it. So you want them all the way out. All right, once you get your chopper knives done, then you got to come up here and change your chopper speed. Take this bolt loose here. The old combines just had a belt in there and you had to loosen an idler with a big handle and change the belt. Now you just come in and push that in like that. That's slow speed for corn, high speed for beans. So we want to be on slow speed. Button this back up. All right, you get that done. You come around to the other side. This is called your cob deflector. There's a door that comes down that keeps your chopper from slinging cobs back forward and bending all your sieves. That's that. Get that done. Then you come up to this side of the feeder house. Change that drum height up here. that's it. Now there is a belt right in here on this big handle. That's called your feed accelerator. There's a big beater, I guess we're gonna call it, that basically pushes the crop on through the machine faster. I never ever change that, never. Now if we had wheat, I would change it in wheat, but as far as corn and beans, I would recommend to never ever change that. It can crack the piss out of grain because it's just beating the piss out of it before it ever gets into the machine. So that one, don't ever change. Okay, so we're done on this side of the machine. We can button it up. As you can see, there's no shaft on this side of the corn head. It all drives from the other side, so there's nothing to do over here. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting all the snouts down on the corn head in operating position. No big deal there. You just grab them, give them a good yank, and then pull one little spring-loaded pin and flip them on down the rest of the way. And that's that. And then if you want to flip one of these up, you just grab it on the end. You'll see this pin here, it'll catch. There. And then you come down here, pull out on that, and the whole thing will flip up. Another thing on these heads, you got these 3 rods here. You got one on each end and one in the middle. And that's for your header height sensing. So when this corn head's down on the ground, these are just kind of riding along. And if you come to a big washout or something, you know, that rod's going to change positions, and that'll automatically either raise or lower your head depending on which way this rod moves. All right, now we're going to go ahead and hook the corn head up to the combine. It's pretty simple. One PTO shaft and then your multi-coupler, so nothing to it there. All right, next we're going to put in our clean out doors for our grain tank. If you don't have them in, she'll be puking grain out. That's to let water out, but I always take them out. Okay, now I'm going to raise the chopper up, and on these Deere combines, there's the back, I don't know if it's 18 inches, 2 foot, whatever it is, of your sieves, of your top screen there, the chaffer, that does not adjust from the cab. You got to adjust it with a wrench, and that's a little bit different setting from corn to beans. I always like to double check that. So I'll raise the chopper up. You'll get to see what the inside of a combine looks like here. So if you were going to cut wheat with this combine and put it in a windrow, that's what you would do. You'd push that little toggle switch up there, raise your chopper up, and then everything will come out right through there. Okay. Got our lights on inside here. So yeah, you can see on these Deere combines, I don't know if I can quite reach it from here or not, but look, if you look right through there, you can almost see a line where it breaks. Everything from there forward, you can adjust from the cab. But this back area right here, you have to adjust with a wrench. Right here. You just turn it one way to open it, one way to close it. And I don't know, some people probably don't mess with it, but I actually do. I don't know, that's pretty close. Usually about a 5/16 gap is what you want on your sieves there. And now to be proper, this top screen, that's called your chaffer. And you'll never be able to see it here, but if I was to open these up all the way, there's another screen that looks just like this down below all of this. So there's two screens, your chaffer and your sieve. And so on corn, I always run the bottom screen, which is the one you can't see. It's clear down in below. I always run that wide open. There's no reason to ever run corn through a combine twice. It'll just grind the piss out of it. So I always run it wide open. Do all my cleaning with the top screen. And you sit there and you think, man, I don't know if I'd do that or not. Well, I challenge anybody watching this to shut this top screen all the way down and then come back here with a bucket of corn and throw it up in there and see how much is left. Every bit of that will fall through the grate. And that's just sitting here stationary. You know, this thing, it's shaking back and forth like a bastard when you're going through the field. So that's how I set mine, and I tell you what, it makes one hell of a combine out of this. I've always been a Case IH combine fan. I think they've got one hell of a combine. And that's how a lot of red guys run them. And if you run a Deere that same way, it'll make a combine out of it. The books that Deere, or the settings that Deere tells you to run in the book, you just well wipe your ass with them because them settings are junk. I've talked to Marion Calmer before from Calmer Cornheads, and the guy really knows his stuff. And I would recommend anybody go to his website. He's got a lot of different combine settings on there, and he'll tell you the same thing, to don't ever run corn through a combine twice. There's no reason for it. It shells easy. Generally, there's no issues with it being such a dirty sample that you've got to run it through twice. Everything that's in that grain tank that you don't want can generally be got out with this top screen. If you got big chunks of cob in it, just shut this top screen down and don't let it go on down through. So it's something I would challenge everybody to try if you've never done it. It's almost completely backwards of the settings that Deere will tell you, because I think they tell you to run the top at like 22 and the bottom at 12, I believe, something like that, where mine are just almost opposite. The bottom is wide open and the top is more of 12, 13, you know, or something like that. So I don't know, everybody's different, but that's how I run mine. So yeah, this little bolt, knuckle, whatever you want to call it, this will adjust this last foot or two of your top sieve. So see, now you can really see that transition line right in there. So that bolt there is adjusting this last, it's probably 2 foot. So I'm going to run that about, I don't know, 5/16 of an inch roughly is where I like to run mine in corn. That seems to do a pretty good job. And from here, things look a lot different. It looks like it's really far open, but once you get up top and look straight down, then things are a little bit different. Now the easiest way that I've found to achieve that 5/16 gap is just get you a bolt, block of wood, whatever, something that measures 5/16, and just put her where she'll just barely start to slide in there. Now you don't want to be bending nothing, but get it to where it'll just barely kind of fit in there. And try it in a couple different spots, because some of them do get bent from time to time, but as long as they ain't bent real bad, you'll be close. But just kind of stick her in there. That's about right. And I know some of you guys are probably cringing, thinking that's shut down way too far, but you got to figure everywhere that there's one of them little loops in there, corn's going to go down through that. So all I'm doing is keeping cobs and leaves and other bullshit out of there. Now the front one, it's open quite a ways. I don't know, I imagine back when I pulled this out of the shed for the first time, I opened everything way up and was just kind of playing around with it. So I'll get up in the cab and change them front ones too then. Okay, so I think we're set back there. I'm going to go ahead and shut all this down. And another thing you got to watch by shutting your bottom screen down quite a ways is you're choking off all that air just immediately. You can't even get air to the top screen because you've shut your bottom screen down so far. So, like I say, when it comes to corn and even in beans, I don't shut it down all that much. there's a lot of this shit in the crops that we farm, corn and soybeans, that it doesn't really need to be run through the combine twice. So to each his own on that. That's just how I do it though. All right, we're gonna jump up in the cab, fire this dude up, change a bunch of our internal settings in the cab now. So now that we're in the cab, I'm gonna get all the internals of the combine set roughly to where they're gonna be in the field. Now I'll have to make final adjustments once we get in the field and get going. These will just kind of be a starting point. This will be the settings on the combine. So first, we gotta get everything started. Separator, push down, push forward. Header, push down and forward. Okay, once everything's warmed up, we're gonna go ahead and speed the combine up. You got slow, medium, fast. All right, now you can see everything's running like it should. Okay, so right now, my rotor, your rotor is what's going to take the corn off of the cob. It's that big drum that sits inside the combine that spins real fast. So right now it's setting on 460. If I wanted to change that, I would come over here and I would hit the rotor button one time. Then it's going to come up on the screen. If I want to go faster, I hit the plus. If I want to go slower, I hit the minus. And I'm going to run that up to roughly 500. Just because sitting here right now, it's turning 490. Once you get a load on this combine and get material coming in it, that's going to start pulling it down. So that may only be 450 under a load or something. So that's where I'm going to start. That's probably going to get changed. Okay, next, you got your cleaning fan. It's the same way. It's running 660 right now. Generally on corn, that's going to be wide open for the most part, which I'm trying to think now on this combine if it's 1200's wide open. Might be 14, I forget. 1350. Okay, so you can see where that's changing. So the blue number there at the bottom is what I'm shooting for. The black number at the top is what it currently is. So as you can see, it's slowly going up. And you don't have to wait on that. It'll keep doing its thing. So next will be my screen. So right now my top screen is at 14, my bottom is at 22. That's roughly where we're going to want them. So you hit it once for top screen, twice for bottom screen. We'll see if that thing's all the way open. Yeah, 22, 23 I thought was about wide open. And on the top, yeah, we'll start about 12-ish, roughly. Yeah, I keep bumping that deal. It's shutting the cleaning fan on. Once I get going through the field, this up here, the 0.0, that's going to tell me my average moisture of the whole field. This over here will be bushels per acre, and that's fairly instantaneous, however the hell you say that word. So, you know, it'll be just constantly changing, and then when you raise the head up on the end of the field, then it'll show what the field is currently averaging. And the moisture is the same way. So when the head's down, you're going through the field, them numbers will constantly be changing. When you raise it up and stop picking, then it'll show what the average is up to that point. Then a lot of this other stuff, let's see, over here, okay, I always like to change these settings. So this one here, that tells me how many percent full my grain tank is. So right now we're empty, so it's at 0. So as I start going through the field, that's going to start climbing. Obviously 50%'s half full, 100%'s all the way full, but that'll read all the way through the field. The 470, is basically the speed of your corn head. Your PTO shaft here, that's what it's reading. That's how many RPMs that thing's turning. And you don't really want to get real carried away on one of them. 470 is as slow as it'll go. You can speed it on up. You probably can't hear it on camera, but I mean, it starts shaking the whole combine and making a hell of a noise the faster you go. And I guess, yeah, about 690's wide open. Then you can start slowing it back down. That's something you don't change a whole lot. You know, you kind of find what the hybrid you're picking likes, and for the most part, it's not going to change. I generally run mine anywhere from 470 to, oh, you might get it up to 520 every now and again. Just depends. The 4.0, that is the pitch of this head going this way. So if I start raising that up, see there, we're at 6.5, or we can layer all the way down flat. We'll go back the other way. So when that says 0.0, that is, I'm not going to say it's level, that's where you want it, is 0.0, unless you're looking to, under normal conditions, you want it on 0. Otherwise, there could be instances with down corn or something where you would want to stand it up or lay it down. Okay, then your hydrostat functions. I always set number 3, so when I bump it once, the head goes down. So push 3, boom, the head drops down. That's where it'll stay going through the field. Get to the end of the field, push 1, it'll raise it up. Now you still can raise and lower it manually. If I push this button here, it'll go down. If I push the top side of it, it'll come back up. And then the side of the button will make the head tilt all the way one way. You can see that right here on the screen if it'll show up. See that line right there? Probably hard to see. So right now I've got it tipped real far one way, there it's tipping back. If there's level, then I keep on going so it'll tip the other way. And once again, that's all automatic. It'll do all that on its own. And this is where you speed up and slow down your corn head right here. Then these are for your deck plates. I got hydraulic deck plates on this. So right now they're on 2. There you can squeeze them down to 1 or 0, or you can widen them way out. Doesn't matter either way. Most of the time them are going to be run on either 2 or 3 and really won't deviate much at all from that. That button is for auto steer, which I don't have auto steer on corn, I do on soybeans, so that won't be used on corn. This swings out your unloading auger, so if I hit it once right here, the alarm goes off. You can probably see it in the mirror coming out. That's the unloading auger. It's out like that. Push this button once. Unloading auger will come on. These new combines have really quieted that down. You can't hear it anymore like the old ones. So the unloading auger is on right now. Okay, you get done unloading, push it again, it shuts it off. This up here is an emergency stop. If you hit that, it automatically kills the head and everything. I can't say that I've ever used that just because most of the time if there's an emergency, I never think of it. So if I want to swing the auger back in, push that side, and away it goes. And while you're unloading on the go, you know, if you're filling a grain cart or whatever, you could bump that switch and you can actually move your auger a little bit. I generally don't do that just because sometimes these bigger carts, that auger as it goes back, as it's folding back, it is also getting lower to the ground. And you can get into the side of the cart if you're not careful. So I try not to make a habit of that. I do need to get back here, more windows in the grain tank, but that fountain auger right there, that's where the grain's going to be coming out to fill the grain tank. You get down here, all of these buttons, for anybody that follows me on TikTok, is going to know my feelings about that whole deal. And with the 8R series tractors, it's just stupid. At least the combine screen is a touch screen versus this rigmarole they have here. Whoever come up with that ought to be beat to death. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, that's pretty much the inside of the combine. There's your gears. There's your parking brake, first, second, third gear. 99.9% of the time in field operations will be in second gear. That's your four-wheel drive. You got 4 high and 4 low. Push it once, it comes on. Push it again, it goes off. These are for a lot of head settings here. That's your dial speed for when you're cutting beans. This is your header height control. So if I let this corn head down, I think I need to be a little bit lower, I can just turn that and it'll set it back, or set it down a little bit lower. And then anytime I push number 3, it'll go down to the height that I have determined with this switch. Quite a bit of storage in a Deere combine. That little dude there, that's about half broke. Storage there, storage there, storage underneath there, storage behind the seat, storage in there, storage back here behind the buddy seat. Buddy seat flips up this way. You've got a refrigerator you can access from the top or the front. That actually surprisingly does a fairly decent job of keeping stuff cold. You're not going to throw a 6-pack of beer in at noon and then be drinking beer by 1 o'clock by any means, unless it's already cold. But as far as throwing food in there or whatever, it doesn't do too bad. It's better than nothing. So yeah, that's pretty much the interior of an S660 John Deere combine. I tell you, I have no complaints on this combine, even for being a John Deere. I've never grew up a humongous John Deere fan. I mean, I'm not knocking them, saying their stuff's junk, but grew up on a lot of red stuff. But this is a pretty nice combine, I will give it that. Got a good sound system. Per TikTok, I've never done it, but yeah, if you unscrew these, pull them out, you can slide a nice can of beer right up in there, tighten it back up, keeps your beer cold there too. Radio, mirrors, wipers, there's all the stuff I keep written on the windows. So yeah, pretty nifty. Oh hey, I forgot, before we go sample any corn, I want to put the stalk stompers on this corn head. Most of you guys probably know what that is, but for those of you that don't, we'll show you. Stalk stomper is pretty much exactly what it says it is. It's a big piece of metal here that's gonna pin on, well hell, you can't see it under here because of the sunlight, but it's gonna pin on right here on this frame, and a big piece of metal is gonna run right down the center of this row, because that's where the stalk is gonna be, and after that stalk comes through the snap and roll, that stomper is going to push it over and kind of try to snap it off in a sense. You know, these damn hybrids nowadays, the stalks are great big around on them. I mean, they're not that big, but I mean, you know, they're big around and they're just hell on tires. When all them sticking straight up in the air, it'll just chew the shit out of your tires on your combine, or trucks, or grain carts, or chisel plowing tractors, or whatever. So you run these stompers, and that'll get them leaned over, and then when you run over them, it ain't quite so hard on your tires. Okay, that's that. Just pin on there, go down, run all the way along there, and then we'll knock the stalks down as you go through the field then. Holy cow, guys, we're gonna have to end this video here. I sat down last night to start editing everything, and mercy sakes, we have ran way too long on this deal, so I apologize for that. So we're gonna go ahead and stop this one for today. We're gonna pick it back up next time. We're gonna be hand sampling some corn. Gotta do a little work on the shivers bin. Probably go pick up our new grain truck and just kind of tidying up a few things right before harvest. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next time.